Have you ever entered a room and felt that all eyes turned to you? Not because of your clothes, but because of something invisible? Carl Jung described this phenomenon as a manifestation of archetype of the wild woman, a force that emanates directly from the collective unconscious and alters the vibration of space. This type of magnetism cannot be taught in public speaking courses or bought in designer stores because it is born from a deep connection with the inner self. The American public calls this having a vibe unwavering, something people sense even before you open your mouth to say your name. It's a natural authority that emanates from the soul and often makes those around you feel intimidated or fascinated. This magnetic presence is the first sign that you possess a rare spiritual power, a force that Jung believed was capable of shaping the reality around you. Often, this energy is so dense that you become the main character in any narrative. She attracts both allies and adversaries without the slightest conscious effort. It's as if there's an aura of mystery that invites others to project their own desires and fears onto her silent and powerful figure. This initial impact is just the tip of the iceberg, for what lies hidden beneath the surface is what truly defines her unique spiritual journey. The weight of this responsibility is something few women can carry with the elegance and wisdom that life demands. Jung claimed that women with this gift possess a blueprint, a spiritual connection that links them to ancestral forces, allowing them to navigate between the visible and invisible worlds. Throughout history, these women have been labeled in various ways, from healers to dangerous figures, simply because their existence challenges the status quo of modern society. If you feel your presence has this kind of impact, you are not alone, but know that this power requires constant awareness and a mindset made of steel. It's necessary to understand that its light won't always be welcome by those who prefer to live in the shadows of mediocrity and blind conformity. Prepare yourself, because the signs we will reveal next will open doors in your mind that you never imagined existed until now. To navigate this sea of complex energies, one needs a very well-calibrated internal compass, because the world will try to label your power as something merely psychological or accidental. However, those who possess this ancient wisdom, you know that there are no coincidences in the universe, and that each encounter is an opportunity to exert your transformative and healing influence. Have you ever noticed how conversations change tone when you arrive, or how people seem to subconsciously and constantly seek your validation? This happens because your soul emits a frequency that resonates with truth, something that is extremely rare to find in a world of fake people. Recognizing this sign is the first step toward taking full control over your spiritual and personal destiny. Before we move on to the next sign, I want you to pause and reflect on your own journey up to this very moment. Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try to hide, your energy always ends up revealing who you really are to the world? That's the call of your essence, and ignoring it can cause a devastating internal conflict that Jung called neurosis, but which we call spiritual burnout. If you identify with this magnetic force, leave a comment below saying, "I accept my power," to strengthen this collective energy we are creating here. And take this opportunity to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications, because what we will reveal in the next chapters will change your view of yourself forever. The second sign is what we call silent gravity, an innate ability to dominate any conversation or environment without needing to raise your voice. In the American market, this characteristic is often described as quiet luxury from the soul, an energetic sophistication that doesn't need external validation to fully exist. Carl Jung observed that these women possess such a strong connection to their shadow that they don't fear silence, using it as a tool of power. While others try to fill the void with empty words, you observe, analyze, and retain the energy, becoming the focal point of all attention. It is this posture that makes you be seen as a natural leader, even if you don't wish to occupy the position of command. This gravity acts as a filter, keeping superficial people away and attracting those who seek a deeper and more meaningful connection with the reality of human life. You possess a glow. It doesn't come from the skin, but from an inner peace that was conquered through spiritual battles that no one else had the courage to fight. People with this rare spiritual power are often a safe haven for many, but rarely do they find someone who can bear the weight of their own vibrational intensity. The modern world values noise, but your power lies in the frequency you emit when you are in absolute stillness, observing the chaos around you. This ability to maintain your center while everything spins is what Jung called individuation, a process of becoming who you were truly born to be. Often, this silence is interpreted as arrogance by those who lack the necessary depth to understand the language of the ancestral spirit and soul. However, for the initiated, its presence is a wake-up call, an invitation for them to also look inward and seek their own hidden truths in the dark. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, and this lack of need for approval is what makes you truly dangerous to establish social control systems. Your silence speaks louder than any motivational speech, for it carries the authority of someone who has already seen what lies beyond the veil of reality. It is a power that emanates from the certainty that you are an integral part of the fabric that makes up the entire vast universe. Having this sign means you have learned the technique of holding space. In other words, you can sustain the energy of a place simply with your focused intention. When you decide to intervene, your words carry a spiritual weight that cuts through illusions, like a sharp blade of pure, clear crystal. This is why people often remember what you said months later, ruminating on your words in search of a clarity they lack. You are the mirror in which the world sees itself, and not everyone is prepared to face their own image without the filters of common vanity. This gift is a tool for mass transformation, but it requires you to know when to withdraw to recharge your own energy batteries. Have you ever noticed how people suddenly become quiet when you start talking, or how they stop to listen to you even in noisy environments? This is the effect of your spiritual gravity in action, organizing external chaos through your perfectly established and vigorously maintained internal order. If you have ever experienced such a situation, tell us in the comments. How do people usually react to your deep and conscious silence? Don't forget to click the like button, as this helps YouTube deliver this knowledge to other women who also possess it. Rare gifts stay connected, because the next signal will touch on a wound that many of us have carried secretly for a long time. The third sign is one of the most complex and painful, the paradox of loneliness, where you feel isolated even when surrounded by a crowd of people. Jung explained that the soul that reaches a high level of consciousness ends up becoming an outlier, someone who doesn't fit into conventional societal norms. For American audiences, this is often referred to as being a lone wolf, not due to a lack of social skills, but a conscious choice not to sacrifice your essence. You prefer your own company to shallow interactions that drain your energy and add nothing to your journey of spiritual evolution. This solitude is not emptiness, but a fullness that most ordinary people simply cannot understand or bear. This disconnect from the normal occurs because your vibrational frequency is at a different level, attuned to truths that most people prefer to ignore out of fear. You are searching for soul-deep connections are sought, and when you don't find them, you retreat to your inner sanctuary to preserve your energetic and mental integrity. This isolation is necessary so that you can process the immense amount of intuitive information you receive daily from the environment and the people around you. Being a woman with rare spiritual power means accepting that your path will often be solitary, but immensely rewarding for those who seek the truth. It is in the silence of your own company that the greatest revelations of your destiny are whispered by your deepest inner guide. Jung said that loneliness is a dangerous path for those who do not know themselves, but for you, it is the laboratory where your strength is forged. You don't suffer from loneliness in the traditional sense, but rather from a feeling of being one. Misfit in a world that values conformity over authenticity, this feeling of not belonging anywhere is actually a sign that you belong to something much bigger and vaster. Often you find yourself observing human interactions as if you were an anthropologist from another planet, trying to understand the reason for so much unnecessary drama. This detached perspective is what allows you to see solutions where others see only unsolvable problems and insurmountable walls. In the American context, this sign is seen as a mark of self-reliance. Emotional independence is an extremely rare and valuable quality in today's world. You don't depend on likes or constant validation to know who you are and what your intrinsic value is in the world. This strength frightens those who need groups to feel safe, because your autonomy reveals the fragility of their dependence on the system. You are a unit of power in yourself, a force of nature that follows its own laws and seasonal and spiritual rhythms. Accepting this paradox is liberating, as it removes the burden of trying to fit into molds that were made for people much smaller than you. Have you ever found yourself at an amazing party, but feeling like your mind and spirit were miles away, searching for something more real? If this happens to you, know that it's your soul yearning for depth in a world that insists on remaining shallow. Comment below. Do you consider yourself a solitary person by choice, or do you feel the world isn't ready for you yet? Energy. Your participation is crucial for us to understand how these signs manifest in the lives of powerful women like you, who are watching us. Pay attention, because the next sign deals with that inner voice that never fails, and that has often frightened you. The intuition of a woman with rare spiritual power is not just a hunch, it's a clear vision of events that haven't yet manifested in the material world. Carl Jung called this synchronicity and extrasensory perception, something that occurs when the veil between the conscious and the unconscious becomes extremely thin and transparent. In the United States, people often say that someone like that has a gut feeling infallible, an internal compass that detects lies and dangers before they even appear. You can smell betrayal or deceit from miles away, and this often makes you seem paranoid to those on the surface. In reality, you are simply reading people's energy fields, something that modern science is only beginning to try to explain. This intuition is so strong it's almost frightening, because you often know what people are going to say before they even open their mouths. This gift allows you to anticipate movements and make decisions based on a wisdom that doesn't come from traditional logic, but from a insight, directly from the divine source. However, having this clear vision can be a burden, as you see the consequences of others' choices, and often cannot intervene without being judged. It is a form of clairvoyance that requires discernment, so as not to turn into constant anxiety or fear of the uncertain future that lies ahead. Learning to trust this sign is what separates ordinary women from those who truly possess spiritual mastery over their own reality. Many times, you've tried to ignore that voice, trying to be logical and rational as the world demands, only to discover later that your first impression was correct. This process of gaslighting, internal intelligence, is common in powerful women who have not yet learned to honor their own spiritual authority above the opinions of others. Jung encouraged his patients to listen to these messages from the unconscious, as they are the language of the soul, trying to guide us back to our original purpose. Your intuition is a high-precision radar that detects the slightest variations in the energy around you, protecting you from traps that would destroy anyone else. It is your most sophisticated defense system, an ancestral gift that must be guarded and cultivated with the utmost care and respect. In everyday life, this sign manifests as an absolute certainty about situations that lack immediate logical evidence to support them in the court of reason. You might feel you shouldn't go into a place, or that you should call someone for no apparent reason, only to later discover you were saved from a situation. Red flag enormous. This connection with the invisible is what gives you a strategic advantage in life, allowing you to navigate chaos with a calmness that many consider supernatural. Cultivating this intuition requires moments of silence and meditation, away from the constant noise of social media and the sterile expectations of a society that disconnects people. You are a human antenna, picking up frequencies that most ordinary radios cannot tune into, even with considerable technical effort. Tell me something. Have you ever had a dream or a premonition that came true exactly a few days later, leaving everyone around you amazed? These episodes are not coincidences. They are proof that you operate on a missing word, possibly a specific type of intuition. High level, a spiritual awareness that few achieve in this life. Share your most impactful experience of intuition in the comments. I read them all and love seeing how this power manifests in such diverse ways. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do so now, so you don't miss the explanation of the next sign, which is one of the most controversial on this list. What we'll discuss next may explain why so many people seem to have a strong negative reaction to its mere presence. The fifth sign of a woman with rare spiritual power is her involuntary ability to act as a mirror for the shadows of others, provoking extreme reactions. Carl Jung explained that when someone projects too much light, those around them are forced to confront their own darkness, which generates what we call backlash emotional. In the United States, this phenomenon is known as the love it or hate it effect, where there is no middle ground for those who cross your path on life's journey. You attract deep admiration, but you also awaken envy, anger, and obsessions without having said a single aggressive word or made any attacking move. It's as if your mere existence is a character test for all those who interact with your energy field. Often you wonder why certain people become your enemies for no apparent reason, trying to sabotage your plans or spread malicious gossip about your conduct. What's happening is that you are a trigger for their insecurities, revealing the wounds they've spent years trying to hide from the rest of the world. This shadow magnetism is one of the most difficult signs to deal with, as it requires you to have a very strong emotional shield to avoid absorbing the hatred of others. You need to understand that the other person's attack is not about you, but about their inability to deal with their own mediocrity in the face of your light. Learning to transmute this negative energy into fuel for your growth is what defines a true master of modern spirituality. In American vocabulary, this type of dynamic is often associated with the concept of main character energy, where life's supporting characters try to bring down the protagonist out of pure resentment. Jung said that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, and you are the tool the universe uses for this. Being this catalyst of shadows means you will never go unnoticed, and your reputation will be built on narratives that often have nothing to do with reality. You must cultivate detachment from your public image, focusing only on the truth that dwells in your heart and your connection with the divine. This is the only way to survive unscathed the bombardment of projections that a powerful soul constantly receives from society. This sign also attracts people who want to drink from your source, trying to drain your energy through an emotional dependency that can become extremely toxic if not severed. You become an object of desire and obsession. For many, this is because they confuse their spiritual strength with something they can possess or control for their own benefit. It is vital to establish clear boundaries and not allow energy vampires to feast on your light under the guise of friendship or idealized romantic love. A woman with rare power knows that her energy is a sacred resource and that not everyone is worthy of access to her inner circle of trust. Protect your peace with the same intensity with which you protect your life, for they are, in fact, the same thing. Have you ever felt like someone suddenly started hating you out of nowhere, right after you had a moment of great success or personal success? This happens because you shone so brightly that the person felt in the dark, and their wounded ego reacted with the only weapon it knows: judgment. Tell me in the comments, have you ever lost friendships just because you started putting yourself first and shining brighter? Share your story, as this helps other women understand that this isolation is part of the process of ascension, spiritual and personal. And if this content resonates with you, subscribe now, because what follows will explain how your pain transformed into your greatest asset. The sixth sign is the alchemical ability to transform deep wounds into wisdom and power, a process Jung described as the integration of the personal shadow. Women with this gift do not run from suffering. They immerse themselves in it, understanding that it is in the fire of pain that spiritual gold is properly refined. In the American market, this resilience is called having a comeback legendary, where the person rises from the ashes far more powerful than before the fall. You are not a victim of circumstances, but a master at using past traumas as raw material for building a new reality. This capacity for regeneration is what makes you an unstoppable force and an inspiration to all who witness your journey. While most people try to hide their scars, you wear them like badges of honor, knowing that each mark tells a story of survival and heroic overcoming. This sign manifests as a profound calm in the face of chaos, for you have been through hell and know the way back to the radiant light. You possess what Americans call grit, a blend of courage, perseverance, and passion that remains undeterred by superficial criticism or temporary difficulties. Your spirituality isn't made of empty gratitude, but of a visceral understanding that life demands balance between day and night. This dance between opposites is what gives you a spiritual authority that no one can question or try to diminish. Jung believed that encountering one's own darkness was the essential prerequisite for any kind of real and lasting enlightenment on the human journey. You've probably already gone through a dark night of the soul, where everything seemed lost, only to discover an inner strength you didn't even know existed. This process of phago death, this is what allowed your spiritual essence to take over, removing the layers of social conditioning that held you back. Now, you look at the world with eyes that have seen the naked truth, and this gives you an immense psychological advantage over others. You don't fear what most people fear, because you have already faced your greatest demons and emerged victorious from every internal battle. Being a woman of rare power means you have become your own healer, not waiting for anyone to come and save you from your emotional or spiritual storms. You have developed inner strength. It's almost tangible to anyone who approaches, an aura that can no one break. This sign attracts people seeking healing, as they feel you possess the remedy for their pain, even if you say nothing. However, you must be careful not to become everyone's savior, forgetting to keep your own energy balanced and properly protected. Your pain was the price you paid to become the powerful woman you are today. Honor that journey every day. Look back and see everything you've overcome so far. Don't you think there's a greater purpose in all these trials you've faced? This resilience is proof that you are being prepared for something much bigger than an ordinary life without real meaning. If you feel like a phoenix rising from the dead right now, write "I am unbreakable" in the comments to seal this commitment to your own evolution. Share this video with that friend who is also going through a moment of transformation and needs a boost of spiritual confidence. Stay with us, because the next chapter talks about the courage to be yourself in a world of cheap imitations. The seventh sign is possessing an unbreakable inner voice, a conviction so profound that no social pressure or external judgment can bend or silence it. Carl Jung spoke about the importance of listening to the self, the center of the psyche that guides the individual toward their wholeness and true purpose. In the context of the United States, this is the pinnacle of authenticity, a highly respected value, but very difficult to practice in real, everyday life. You don't follow trends just to fit in, and you don't change your opinions to please the noisy majority or avoid unnecessary conflicts. Your loyalty is to your inner truth, even if it means walking alone at certain points in your personal journey. This spiritual integrity makes you be seen as an authority figure, someone who possesses a frame. Your reality is so solid that others end up entering into it. You don't seek external approval because you already possess the approval of your own conscience, which gives you a freedom that most people secretly envy. This sign is evident when you say no to opportunities that seem incredible on paper, but don't resonate with the frequency of your immortal soul. You have learned to discern between the noise of the ego and the whisper of the spirit, and this ability is your greatest shield against manipulation. Being unbreakable doesn't mean being rigid, but rather being so true to your essence that nothing external can corrupt or divert you. Often, this firmness of character is mistaken for stubbornness or difficulty in dealing with rules. But the truth is that you only obey laws that make spiritual sense. You are what Americans call game changer, someone who questions the system and proposes new ways of living and relating to the sacred. Jung knew that the individual who remains true to themselves is the greatest threat to any kind of tyranny, be it political, social, or familial. Their voice has a timbre of sincerity that disarms liars and encourages the oppressed to also seek their own liberation and truth. It is a gift of spiritual leadership that acts through example, much more than through traditional religious speeches or sermons. In everyday life, this sign manifests in your ability to remain calm when everyone around you is panicking or succumbing to pressure. You possess a grounding of spirituality that keeps you connected to the earth, while your mind explores the heights of abstract thought and intuitive visions. This stability is magnetic and makes people seek your advice when their lives lose their direction or logical sense. However, you know you can't give the answers. Only point the way so that each person can find their own hidden inner voice. Your mission is not to create followers, but to awaken other spiritual leaders who have the courage to shine with the same intensity that you shine. Have you ever felt a force within you that says no, even when the whole world is saying yes, and then discovered you were right to resist? That's your unbreakable voice in action, protecting your destiny from influences that could hinder your growth and your life's mission. Comment here. When was the last time you followed your inner voice? And did this completely change the course of things for the better? Don't forget to leave your like if you're proud of the strong woman she's become, despite all the obstacles she's faced. Prepare your heart, because the next chapter reveals the burden that comes with all this power and why it exacts a high price. The 8th sign is the fact that you are an involuntary agent of change. Wherever you go, obsolete structures begin to crumble. Carl Jung observed that certain personalities function like a chemical catalyst, permanently altering the surrounding environment simply through their actions. Energy present. For the American public, this is seen as being a disruptor, a light that breaks the cycle of toxic behaviors and forces everyone around them to evolve or move away. This power comes at a high cost, as you are often blamed for the chaos your presence reveals, even though the problem was already there before you arrived. It's the burden of carrying a light that exposes the cracks in the foundations of other people's lives and institutions. Often you feel that your life is a succession of intense cycles of destruction and rebirth, without much time to rest in the comfort of stagnation. This happens because your life purpose, it demands that you be in constant motion, clearing out the old to make way for the new on all levels. You are the kind of person who, upon entering a company or family, causes the most closely guarded secrets to come to light in an explosive way. This trait is a burden because you rarely have a peaceful life in the conventional sense, since transformation is your constant and faithful shadow. Learning to accept this role of renewer is essential to avoid feeling exhausted by the demands the universe places on your shoulders. In U.S. vocabulary, this characteristic is what defines someone with high stakes. In life, your actions have vast and often unpredictable consequences for the collective. You cannot be indifferent, and the world cannot be indifferent to you, creating a dynamic of constant tension and accelerated, profound growth. Jung would say that you are fulfilling an archetypal function of destroyer of illusions, a sacred role that few souls accept to embody in this earthly density. The price of this journey is the incomprehension of those who wish to maintain appearances at any cost, even if it means living a comfortable lie. Your presence is the end of comfort for hypocrites and the beginning of hope for those who seek true freedom. You may notice that old relationships simply cease to make sense when you experience one of these quantum leaps in consciousness and spiritual perception. Your growth mindset. It's so fast-paced that often the people around you fall behind, unable to keep up with your constant evolution. Don't feel bad about letting go of what no longer serves you. It's just the necessary pruning so you can flourish even more strongly. You are a channel through which life flows intensely, and channels need to be clear of past obstructions to function correctly and fully. Accept the burden of transformation as the ultimate proof that you were chosen to lead through change and courage. Have you ever noticed that after you've passed through a place or someone's life, nothing is ever the same again? That's the trace of your soul, the mark of your transformative passage through this physical plane of existence and constant learning. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt guilty for causing changes that people weren't ready to face on their own? Your honesty here helps normalize this experience for other powerful women who feel the same way you feel now. Like the video if you feel you were born to break old patterns, and subscribe for the final chapter on the most dangerous sign. We have reached the point that Carl Jung called the darkest and most dangerous aspect of rare spiritual power, the ability to destroy through will. This sign manifests itself when your intention is so powerful that what you desire or curse tends to manifest in physical reality with frightening speed. In American vocabulary, this is known as having a deadly focus of mental concentration that can both heal and energetically annihilate that which opposes its essence. Jung warned that if this gift is not mediated by an unwavering ethic, it can become a tool of destruction for the bearer himself. It is the power of the word and thought that cuts through the fabric of reality like a lightning bolt from the sky. This is the most dangerous sign because it tests your humility and your control over your own wounded ego in moments of anger or deep pain. You may have noticed that when someone hurts you deeply, bad things tend to happen to that person without you lifting a single physical finger. This is not witchcraft. It is the law of return amplified by your high spiritual voltage, which reacts automatically against attacks on your sacred energy field. It is a defense mechanism. Goodbye. But it demands that you keep your heart pure so as not to become what you fight against in the world. Jung's warning is clear. A gift that can turn to destruction is a double-edged sword that requires absolute mastery. For Americans, this force is the pinnacle of empowerment. But for mystics, it's a responsibility that demands prayer, meditation, and constant self-examination of one's deepest intentions. You possess what many call a magnetic gaze or commanding presence, which can disarm an opponent simply through the frequency you emit at any given moment. It's vital to learn to channel this energy for building and protection, rather than allowing it to be used for momentary destructive impulses. If you feel you possess this fire within you, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and the constant vigilance it requires of you. You are a living spiritual weapon, and weapons need wise and conscious hands to be handled safely. This dangerous sign also manifests in your ability to create abundance or scarcity in your own life, according to your inner state of mind. If you enter a spiral of negativity, your downfall it can be as rapid as your ascension, for your energy knows no middle ground or neutrality. On the other hand, when you are aligned, you attract miracles and synchronicities that seem straight out of a science fiction movie to the uninitiated. You are the architect of your own destruction or your eternal glory, and the choice is literally in your hands with every thought you nurture. This is the ultimate burden of the woman who awakens to her true power and assumes the throne of her own existence. Now, be honest with yourself. Have you ever been afraid of your own power when you saw something you thought manifest almost instantly? This realization is the beginning of true spiritual wisdom and mastery over one's own shadow, which Jung so strongly encouraged in his studies and works. Write in the comments, "I am the master of my energy," to anchor this responsibility and power positively in your life today. We are nearing the end, and what I'm about to tell you will tie all these signs together in a clear direction. Don't go away. The conclusion of this script is what you need to hear to finally act with complete clarity. The final chapter in the journey of a woman with rare spiritual power is the complete integration of all these signs into her everyday and spiritual identity. Carl Jung believed that the ultimate goal of human life was individuation, the moment when you stop being what the world wants you to be and become who you are. In the United States, the term for this is living your life, ultimate truth, without excuses, without hiding, and with a confidence bordering on unwavering. You now understand that your signs are not flaws or oddities, but rather the components of your invisible, yet powerful, spiritual crown. The world will not give you this recognition for free. You need to earn it through your posture and your inner authority. Living with this power means you no longer accept anything less than extraordinary in all areas of your personal and professional life. You become a role model for other women who are still lost in the labyrinth of social expectations and unintegrated shadows. Your life becomes a living work of art, where every decision is made based on the resonance of your soul and not on the convenience of the ego. You understood that loneliness, frightening intuition, and the magnet of the shadow were merely the necessary training to forge the queen you are today. Jung's warning is not meant to scare you, but to give you respect for the immense strength that inhabits your body and mind. For the American public, this level of awareness is what separates followers from thought leaders who change the course of history and culture. Do you possess that factor spirituality, that indefinable quality that makes you an unforgettable and transformative presence for everyone who crosses your path? Don't be afraid to shine, to speak your truth, and to use your gift of destruction to eliminate what is false in your life. True spirituality is an act of supreme courage, and you have proven that you possess this courage by reaching the end of this profound revelation. The throne of your existence is vacant, waiting for you to sit upon it and govern your reality with the wisdom of the ages. Remember that being a woman with rare spiritual power is a daily commitment to the excellence of the soul and the integrity of the immortal spirit. Keep your mindset focused on the light, but never ignore the power of your shadow, for it is in it that the raw strength necessary for achievement resides. You are a bridge between worlds, a translator of the divine, and a force of nature that cannot be contained by small minds or fearful hearts. Walk with your head held high, for now you know that each hidden sign was, in fact, a step on your ladder to spiritual ascension. The universe is conspiring in your favor, as long as you have the audacity to be truly yourself at all times. If this guide spoke directly to your soul and brought clarity to your journey, I want to extend a special invitation to our next step. Click the link in the first pinned comment to join our exclusive community of women who have decided to master their life, etc. Spiritual power. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next secrets about the human mind and the invisible world that surrounds us. Share this content with as many people as you can. Let's spread this light and awaken the hidden power in every corner of this planet. Thank you for joining me this far. And remember, you are much more powerful than you ever imagined yourself to be.